Hello, all my beautiful people. It is time once again for another amazing episode of If You Give a Dad a Podcast. So this week I have with me a guy who has done all kinds of really cool stuff, from having his own TV show for about 10 years on the Outdoor Channel, to having his own bow company and his own brand based off of a song that he wrote. And today I am talking about Andy Ross. He is the American Rebel brand ambassador, and I am very excited for you guys to hear this episode with him. We had a really good conversation. He had a lot of cool stories and things to tell, so I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. And for those of you who are here just to listen to the Andy Ross episode, welcome. I hope that you enjoy what you hear, and I hope that you stick around and listen to some of the other great episodes we have here as well. So, if you guys are as excited as I am, then let's get this show on the road.
If You Give a Dad a Podcast. Hey, Dad.
So where did you actually train at?
I made a really good career out of being able to bump, sell, and I had a punch me face.
I wasn't about to call you Dad, so.
Seriously?
I felt like I was in an anime or something.
People get really mad at those videos for some reason. Like, it triggers certain people. Yeah.
Wow.
I was actually lost as an infant, and I was taken in by a traveling group of independent wrestlers.
I love it. I'm excited for this one.
Bro.
Get punched in the face on the daily. Do you always do these interviews with your shirt off?
What?
Man, this guy won't shut up.
All right, everybody. So today I have with me a pretty awesome guest, and I'm very excited to talk to him. He is a singer and songwriter. He is also a TV host for Maximum Archery World Tour. He is the CEO and founder of American Rebel and the author of American Rebel, the making of America's patriotic brand. And I am talking about Andy Ross. Man, how are you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. It's a good evening to be on here with you today. We got a lot to talk about, and I'm excited to be here, man.
Yes, sir. I am very excited too. I was kind of looking over your resume a little bit there, and you kind of got your hands in all kinds of stuff.
You know, it does on paper. It would appear that, that I'm doing quite a bit of things and I've done, different things. But to me, someone who's, lived this life, it's really one opportunity that I've done has just morphed in and blessed into another opportunity. It's really all been the same, long ride.
Right.
I had the TV show, first I had a bow company, right? I'm manufacturing bows
Okay.
So we can start there.
Okay. How did you start your bow company then?
So I grew up in southeast Kansas in a town called Chanute, Kansas. Mm-hmm. And like most of my friends, we did a lot of upland bird hunting, turkey hunting, duck hunting, waterfowl. And, I grew up in a time when, we would do a little duck hunting and jump a couple ponds. All the farmers would let us, hunt on their land. It wasn't hard to get permission, back then. And we'd jump a couple ponds before school. And, we had our shotguns hanging in the back windows of our trucks, and we'd go, taking off our camo coveralls and stuff in the parking lot, and running into school and barely making the bell. So we started off, with, everything's for shotguns, right? Just upland bird hunting, waterfowl, and so on.
Yeah.
And when I got older, I had an opportunity. A friend of mine was into archery and was going on a hunt, asked me to go on the hunt. And I just assumed, everybody would take whatever they were used to. But I found out about 2 weeks before the hunt that it was an archery only hunt. So I got real good, real quick with a bow and went and bought one. And I got hooked right away. I'm telling you, I just fell in love with it. Still love it passionately today. But I started making bows kind of as a hobby. Wanted to, I thought, well, I'll make some bows and sell some bows, and that'll help maybe if I can sell a few, pay for my hunting habit, and get me, in the archery world and meet some people. And all of a sudden we started selling enough bows to where it kind of moved from a hobby to a business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the time when, outdoor TV was really, really coming on strong, especially the archery part of outdoor TV. Lee and Tiffany were just huge. And Michael Waddell was coming on strong, and Archer's Choice with Ralph and Vicky and the Drury Brothers and the Primos guys. And man, I really wanted to get some of those hunting celebrities, one of them to shoot my bow and shoot it on TV. And, I couldn't get that done. They had contracts with other bow companies, and they hadn't really heard of my bow, and they were happy with the deals they had.
Mm-hmm.
So I hired a camera guy, Mike Osborne, who had done some filming for some of the Drury Brothers production. And we went on 4 or 5 hunts, and he filmed them of my hunts. And then I had them edited and made into a DVD. And then I put that DVD in the box with all the bows, as we sold the bows.
Oh, cool.
And then I would play the DVD like in the booth at trade shows, at the Iowa Deer Classic and the Wisconsin Deer and Turkey Expo, and all the different shows, in the ATA show, of course.
Yeah.
And somehow the network Outdoor Channel got a hold of it and called me up. And next thing I knew, I had my offer to do my own show.
Oh, wow.
And so I ended up called the show Maximum Archery, and eventually changed it to Maximum Archery World Tour.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for 10 years. And then I became, my own mouthpiece, if you will, for my own bow company at that point.
Man, that's amazing. I love how whenever, something's supposed to happen, it's almost like you can't stop it from happening. And that's really cool. I love that story.
Well, and as time went by, 3 or 4 years into the show,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 5, I noticed that kids were getting really excited about these things called X Games, and what kids were doing with skateboards and bicycles and motocross and snowmobiles, and video games were getting pretty cool and realistic. And I told my cameraman, Mike, I said, man, kids got so many cool options today and so many things that are action packed. I don't know if kids are going to, want to sit here and watch me set in a tree, going, hey, it's Tuesday. The wind's out of the west. We're in Kansas. We need to pick this up a little bit. So we decided we changed the name of the show from Maximum Archery to Maximum Archery World Tour. And I took the dates and the species and the locations of where I was hunting,
Mm-hmm.
Whatever date, wherever in Wyoming, mule deer, I took all the dates of the whole season, and I put them on the back of a t-shirt, like an old Van Halen concert shirt or an old Journey concert shirt. And we changed the name to Maximum Archery World Tour. And we treated the hunting show as if we were on tour, except we weren't on a music tour. We were on a tour of filming, all the episodes for the season, and the whole tour or hunting schedule was laid out. And that's all it was a hunting schedule. We called it a tour schedule. And we started filming more of the travel and going in, to some small bar in some gold mine abandoned town in Colorado and shooting darts and, the crazy places we find to do laundry and stuff. Because, when we go out on a hunt, we wouldn't go on a hunt and then home and then a hunt then home. We would stay out for 3 or 4 hunts and then come home. We couldn't just go, it was mapped out like a legitimate tour.
Yeah. Okay.
We didn't go to Alaska and then back to Kansas and then back to the Yukon. We went to Canada and Alaska and the Yukon, and, we kind of put all that together, and the western states together for mule deer and elk, from Wyoming to Colorado to Mexico. And we'd stay on the road. And so we called it Maximum Archery World Tour, and the kids really gravitated to that. I think a hunting show has, let's just say, three segments, with commercial breaks in between them. And it used to be we would have 3 segments of the hunting show. Now the show had 2 segments of the travel and all the trouble we almost got into, and whatever we found to do along the way, and then 1 segment of hunting. And the kids liked that. They really gravitated to that. But I could play some music and I could write, and at least I thought I could. And I decided, well, if it's called Maximum Archery World Tour, why not make some music instead of just getting this internet music? Why not write some original music to fit the show?
Right.
So I wrote Blood Trail on a Whitetail, Hunt Me Down, Gotta Go Hunting Blues, Buck of a Lifetime, these kind of songs, and Support Your Local Wildlife. And I would do these songs, we would play them in and out of commercials and the opener. When the credits would roll, I might, pick one around a campfire for, 30 seconds or something. It might make the TV show. It wasn't like we just sat there and played a 3-minute, 20-second song nonstop, but we would use them throughout the show and the music. And I had no idea that iTunes was coming and digital file sharing was coming.
Right.
And that there was, I'd never heard of the word viral before, that things could go viral. But we had a lot of success, and then smartphones came out, we'd be at the Iowa Deer Classic signing DVDs and posters, and kids would be in line, playing my music on their phone.
Right.
And we made enough noise with the few songs that I did that it actually landed me with a phone call from Doug Grau from Nashville, asking me to come to town and get with some other writers and make a record. So the bow company fell into the TV show. The TV show fell into the music. And now we're doing this podcast from my place here in Nashville, Tennessee, as I'm in the process of making my 4th record.
That's awesome.
Or album of music, I guess you would call it these days.
Wow. That's quite a story. The way you were able to adapt, that's always important, especially when you're doing different things in the entertainment industry. You have to be willing and know how to adapt to that, to market to these new age groups all the time. And so, yeah, wow, that's really awesome.
Like when we started the conversation about all the different things, I never really thought of them as different. One just kind of morphed into the other. And
right.
I was doing a little bit of that, when I started doing this, and I was doing some of that when this came along. And, the story doesn't end. I mean, in 2015, I had a song out called American Rebel.
Yes.
It kind of went viral as a patriotic anthem. And we decided to build a brand around it and to build some products around it. And we started a company from a song that came from doing music from a TV show that came from making a DVD from a bow I made. But we took the song American Rebel, we made it the mission statement of the company, and started it in 2015. We grew the company. Doug Grau, who's my producer and manager, became the president of the company. I was CEO and founder. And as of February of 2022, just over a year ago, we're now a publicly traded company on NASDAQ. So again, wearing the same hat, but sometimes it just comes in different opportunities.
Yeah. So kind of talk a little bit about the American Rebel brand. What is it, and what do you guys do actually?
So we started the company. Again, it was named after the song I had out, American Rebel. I came up with the slogan for it, America's Patriotic Brand. I said, I want us to be America's patriotic brand. And so that kind of stuck, American Rebel, America's patriotic brand.
Yeah.
And we were thinking about, what should we make? I got this background, if you will, in archery, but, hunting is so big, but then archery is only, 10, 15, 20% as big as hunting, right? Because
right.
There's more gun hunting than archery hunting. And then hunting itself is only so big. Patriotism and a love for our country and the second, supporting the Second Amendment and these things, is even, by far bigger than hunting. So the song was American Rebel. It wasn't a hunting song. It was a song, a patriotic anthem. So, we weren't really locked into a box to have to do an archery product. So the first product offering we did is we made concealed carry backpacks.
Oh. And
a concealed carry backpack simply is a backpack. It's designed for everyday use. It looks great. It's made great quality. ripstop, water resistant fabric, UTC branded clips, YKK zippers. I mean, a quality product for everyday use, but it has our proprietary protection pocket where it'll keep keep a firearm concealed and safe and give you discreetly access to it. It's a safe way to carry. And then we expanded into concealed carry jackets to add to our backpacks, jackets, and coats. And then in 2019, we got into manufacturing gun safes. And out of the company right now, we also have our American Rebel liquid fire, our American Rebel 2A lockers. And we've got some products that we'll be introducing, look forward to introducing soon. We're always designing and looking now for some, we're always looking for an opportunity. But that's the company, AmericanRebel.com. We're going to continue to add products and work towards our goal of becoming America's patriotic brand. I tell this a lot. I say this all the time, but, to sum it up, I want Susie to go up to Mom and say, Mom, what's Dad want for Father's Day? And she says, honey, he wants anything with American Rebel on it. That's when you're America's patriotic brand. We're a lifestyle brand, we have dealers, we have almost 400 stores buying from us around the country, and they want to know, where's the American Rebel dartboard, the American Rebel kayak? I want to see American Rebel beer. I want to see American Rebel motor oil, American Rebel tools, American Rebel barbecuers, American Rebel dog food. You name it, American Rebel wheelbarrows.
Yeah.
But we can only do so much so fast, right? So we got to, it takes cash flow and takes design and engineering, and in some cases tooling, and it feels like sometimes you're not moving as fast as you would like and getting as much stuff out as you would like.
Right.
But when your products have success, when you bring them out and you start to sell, a good number of them, you've got to build them and you've got to make them, and you've got, that takes a lot of your, if you've got something that's working, it's hard to pull capital away from that to launch something new when if I can build more of these, then the public wants them. So right now we're doing a few things, but we're doing really well, especially in the gun safe market. And I mean, I'm talking the full size, refrigerator almost size safes. I'm not talking the little boxes that, the little shoebox kind of things. I'm talking full blown, safes that weigh 600 to 1,500 pounds
that you can fit like hunting rifles and stuff in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's really cool. And you said something there, and it kind of reminds me of a problem that I come across here. I come up with all these ideas, but there's only so much time that you have in a day to do those things, and I feel you were saying, dog food and, a beer and, wheelbarrows and all these different things. You have all these ideas and stuff, and it takes a minute for those ideas to roll out and actually come to fruition.
It does. And every one of those ideas has its own set of challenges, and where we would like to get to with American Rebel, and we're starting to, approach this is, if you ask me, do you want an American Rebel beer? The answer is yes. Do I want to open up an American Rebel brewery? Not really. What I would like is a brewer out there that's got distribution and visibility and a boutique brewery or a medium-sized brewery, to come and say, hey, let's do a licensing deal and put your beer out. Yeah. And those are the type of opportunities that we look forward. We can't manufacture everything that I'd like to see on the market with American Rebel on it, but we could approach licensing deals and grow the company. That's a possibility for us as well.
Yeah. So what would you say has been your biggest challenge since you started the American Rebel brand?
I think I think that the challenge that most companies have, that's certainly the challenge that, you get into, is capital and cash flow. And, if you build a good product and you can sell the heck out of them, that's fantastic, but you got to have the money to build them first.
Right. Yeah.
And as a manufacturer, I think people look at something and go, okay, it costs you this much to build it, and you sell it for that, and you make this much money.
Yeah.
but as a manufacturer selling to a retail store, we don't run on great big margins. We run on a manufacturer's margin.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think sometimes is missed is, it's not like we have this product today and we get our money for it tomorrow. I mean, the product starts when we order steel, and we have to have steel come in the warehouse and wiring and our handles and locks. And, that's months, a month or two before it actually gets built into a product. We're outlaying cash to bring in the raw materials, sometimes 90 days out. And then we got to build it. It's got to go through the plant and the factory, and the factory workers and everybody has to be paid.
Yeah.
The overhead has to be paid, and it turns into a finished product. And then you have to freight it. It's got to be shipped. And then the dealer gets it. We got great dealers. But they got, some dealers have 30-day terms. Some have even longer terms, depending on the size of the store and the quantities that they purchase in. So, you've got to fill that gap from ordering steel to 60 days, 120 days, down the road before that turns back into money. So you got to cash flow that, and the more you sell and the more you ship, the more of it you got to cash flow.
Right.
But yes, it does. It is a product that's, you have a margin of profitability in there, but you still have to, you have to cash flow it first. The cash flow part comes ahead of the profitability. So it's hard to grow a company and to, any business. That's not unique. That's not uniquely an American Rebel problem. It's a lot of businesses have the same challenge.
Right. So I did see that you have a book that is coming out. On the website, I believe that it said that you were in the process of writing this book now. What will this book be covering?
First of all, the book's a ways out. We're starting to just kind of lay it out, and kind of define some of the chapters. But, it's really a book about American Rebel, America's patriotic brand, but it's about chasing the American dream.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that we live in the best country in the world, even though it's not perfect. And there's a lot of people today that are willing to point out its faults, but even with its faults, it's still by far the best country in the world. There's only one of them on this rock. And, I tell people, if you take a globe, and put it by your bed, and you wake up in the morning, and every morning you spin that globe and you put your fingers on the globe and stop it, and your fingers land on the United States of America, you're a lucky individual.
Yeah.
You're a very lucky individual.
Yeah.
And, I want to show other examples of chasing the American dream, and the stories that it took to build this company, and what it meant, and our standards of wanting to make as much product in the United States as possible, and the challenges of that, wanting to employ as many people here in the United States and our factories, and opening up factories, and the struggles of doing that. I think everybody in the country is aware that buying American-made products that are made by American workers is a good thing for the country.
Yes.
But it's very challenging too, with a lot of the rules and regulations and EPA regulations and just different things that are put on our businesses, which I'm not saying that they're not valuable. I'm all about the environment. I'm not trying to say that they're not things that can be necessary.
Right.
But it does make it challenging when you're competing with the rest of the world that doesn't have those same obstacles and those same challenges that make competition a little tough. How does a country that doesn't hardly have any steel import steel into China, turn that steel into a product and get it back over here ship it back to the U.S. For half the price of a U.S. company? Now, yeah. Quality isn't. I'm not going to say that the quality's the same and a lot of those things, but it's it's challenging, but that's what we're doing. We're building America's patriotic brand. We're going to build as much of it right here as we can, and we're going to put the quality into it, the passion into it, the grit into it, the attitude into it, and people see that and they value that, and they're buying our product.
That's awesome. And, I like hearing that because one thing I know from hearing, companies from the past, they took pride in the quality that they had being made in America. When you said it was made in America, you knew that you were going to get a quality product.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's, I think the pride in the workmanship speaks for itself. And I think, a lot about that company and that factory and those workers when you bring that product home and you've got something of value and something of quality. There's some products and stores, and I'm not going to mention them by name, but man, you go buy your grandson a $20, $30, $40, toy, and 45 minutes into playing with it, it's broke. I mean, there's just some stuff that's just so darn cheaply made and poorly made that it's like, what happened to good old Tonka trucks, man? I mean, I don't know how old you are, but my Tonka trucks were made out of metal.
Yes.
And you could run them through your bedroom wall and get in trouble by your mom and dad. I mean, you weren't going to break one of those for nothing. You could take it outside and dump it in the mud and throw it around and move it and fill it up. And I mean, that thing would last it. You'd grow up and you'd outgrow it and it'd be in the garage sale. And some other kid would get to enjoy it for 4 or 5 years. And then
exactly.
Someone else. They were made to last.
Yep. I remember growing up with those. My grandma had a bunch of them at her house, and man, I wish I had them now because they were the big metal ones with the smokestacks that were rubber. And, they were very well made. Like, we were actually digging in the dirt with these. I think we had an excavator one and literally making holes in the ground with this because it was so strong. But I wish I still had those because from what I hear, they're worth a lot of money now.
They are. And kids today, they'll never experience, that quality of toys. But, we're talking about toys and Tonka trucks because it's easy, but the same thing can be said for a bicycle or a gun safe or any other thing that you're purchasing and bringing home. Sometimes it's better to pay a little more and get something that's going to last, that is not going to fail you. My dad was a manufacturer. He always told me, son, I'd rather explain price once than apologize for quality over and over.
I like that. I've never heard that saying before, but that makes a lot of sense.
Well, we're trying to live up to that standard, and I think we're doing a great job. We're making some really good products, and we've got a lot of dealers and customers that are really pleased with what we're putting out. So I think that's the tell-all right there.
That's awesome. So I kind of want to switch over here a little bit. One thing that you talked about as well is your music. And you said that you are in the process of coming out with another studio album as we speak. And so I kind of want to just talk about that for a little bit. What is one of your influences when it comes to your music styles?
I grew up, I've got a brother who's 6 years older than me and a sister that's right at 5 years older than me. And then there was 4 or 5 years went by before I got here. And when you have, when you're 9 and 10 and you got 14, 15, 16-year-old, siblings, you get to listen to their music.
Right.
So, when I was 9 years old, I was listening to Heart and Fleetwood Mac and the Eagles and Bob Seger and Styx, and I was getting to listen to the good stuff. My friends in school that didn't have older brothers and sisters, I mean, they were listening to the Partridge Family. They hadn't no one had turned them on yet, but I got to listen. And of course, in Kansas when I grew up, you could drive when you were 14, and I think they've changed that age to 15 or 16 now, not for sure, but we used to, this little town of Chanute, Kansas, my brother and sister, and then eventually me too, but we just called it Dragon Main. I mean, all you would do is just go up and down Main Street. You and all your friends who had cars just go up and down Main Street all night, and, Friday and Saturday night. And that's what we did. And so they would take me, they'd make me a deal, Friday and Saturday nights, not during weeknights, but, it'd be Friday night. And, my brother would say, well, if you do this and Mom would want, I had a bedtime and stuff. He said, but I'll take you 2 times, up and down Main. I'll bring you right back. So I'd get to go at 7:30 or 8, and be back at 8:30 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, we had all that stuff right on 8-track tapes and then eventually cassettes and all that good music, and Eric Clapton and Fleetwood Mac and Steve Miller. And, so I'm listening to all this stuff at a young age too. So it was definitely the classic rock, what we call now the classic rock bands were my biggest influence. I love the Black Crowes. I hear a lot of bands. You think living in Nashville, I would, roll off a bunch of country artists that I listen to, but I've got friends that are tremendous artists, and just super talented. Lee Brice is a great friend of mine, and just that guy can sing the paint off the wall, and what an amazing writer. Yeah. He is. But I grew up on the rock stuff, and I tend to live, there. If you went through my, I have an old album collection from when I grew up, and then now all the music's being re-released on vinyl, and vinyl's becoming cool again. So, and they're thicker and they've been remastered and stuff. So I've got a new album collection, but same albums. There's just the ones that are, old, the ones that are new, but it's mostly classic rock and the rock stuff for sure. Again, love the Black Crowes, love Tom Petty, love the Allman Brothers. When it comes to country, the Davison Brothers, Lee Brice, love those guys. Mm-hmm. Bad Company. Yeah. Not much I don't like.
Well, and it comes across in your music too. You hear that kind of that rock vibe to your it's almost a country rock mix that you hear in your sound, and I really like the way it is. It's unique.
That was by design, not by design. That was by accident, but you nailed it. I mean, you're absolutely right. And where this came from was, I wanted to rock, and Doug Grau, who produced and managed me and helped me put me with some writers, and now is the president of American Rebel. Mm-hmm. He handled and managed Travis Tritt, Little Texas, David Ball, Jeff Foxworthy, the comedian. He produced the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. Oh, wow. His inroads are definitely in country music. I kind of came, from a rock background, mm-hmm. and he was like, well, I can't, my lane is country. Yeah. And you're making, you got a hunting show, you got a country kind of audience. Yeah. And so I wanted to rock. He wanted to make country. We tried on that first record making a couple more top 40 kind of country songs, and it didn't fit my style or my voice or I don't know. It just sounded like a couple of them songs to me just sounded like, me trying to be something I wasn't. I get that. I can hear it. I don't know, if others, got that, but we had a couple songs on there that had a little bite to them. And then when we did the Cold Dead Hand record, mm-hmm. and that's the song that put me on Counting Cars, where I was on the History Channel there with Danny, where he built me the Second Amendment muscle car. Yeah. And we said, okay, this kind of Second Amendment anthem, and some of your other stuff, this patriotic, like for whatever reason, this patriotic country rock and roll couple songs seem to be the ones that people are kind of gravitating to, like American Rebel. Mm-hmm. It was on the Time to Fight album, the third album, but we kind of found our own lane, if you will. We kind of found a really happy compromise that opened my eyes up, and I'm like, wow, I love this. And Doug's like, this is your lane. And I got to give him credit and thank him for that, for helping me find, my sound. Right. But I think you hear it in All American Heart, which was just released. And, this new record going forward, which I think will be titled Lucky to Be Alive. You'll hear a lot of that. You heard a lot of it on Time to Fight, America's Son, Back on the Back Roads, Heaven Got a Hellraiser. So
I love the names for your songs a lot too, because they're very, I don't know how to explain it, but they have a certain feel to them, and you know that it's that American grit feel to it is what I get from it, and I love that.
Well, thank you. You know, even though we don't really make CDs or records anymore, you know, I mean, we could press one of these into vinyl. There's such a long wait to get vinyl produced right now. But even though we don't do that, when we record, you know, when we record 10, 12, 14 songs, even though it's not being printed into vinyl as a vinyl album or a CD, we still call it an album of music. Even if all we do is put it up digitally, it's still an album of music. It's an album of songs that make up the release. Yes. So when I say album, I don't want the audience to think he's talking about, you know, the Circle album. Yeah. We could put this album of music into a vinyl record or a CD, but normally it just goes up now these days as a digital album, if you will. Yes. And we can't do the whole album, you know, patriotic songs. I mean, you know, you need 2 or 3, you know, that I call are on brand, you know, targeted on brand that fit the American Rebel attitude and the American Rebel brand, like All American Heart, like the song I've got coming out on Flag Day called I Stand For You. But you can't do a whole album. You know, you can't do a whole album of nothing but hunting songs. You can't do a whole album of nothing but patriotic rock and roll songs. Right. You know, so you got to do a couple ballads. You got to do a boogie woogie, you know, something in there that, and you know, you got to mix it up a little bit so that, you know, you don't wear your audience out with almost kind of the same thing, but a little different, right? You got to have some variety on the record. Yeah. And that's always the, you know, the goal is to put, you know, 2 or 3 of these, you know, patriotic brand on target songs, mix it up with a couple ballads or power ballads, you know, something, you know, kind of boogie woogie, Jerry Lee Lewis kind of like, getting after it, and you know, and mix it up with a few things, some mid-tempo things. Yeah. A couple, you know, maybe one or two of them got a little more guitar and a little more rockier edge to them, which are the ones that always do well for me. Right. But you got to have the others too, so that it sets apart and those songs stand out on the record. And we've done real well with that. Doug's been an absolute genius helping me, you know, put this music together. That's cool. So what is your process when it comes to writing a song? Well, I write, I think my process is a little bit unique. Okay. Because as a writer, I am writing for myself. Okay. There's writers, amazing writers all over town. I'm sure there's one, you know, I live in a high rise downtown Nashville, like overlooking the city. And I'm sure within a block of me walking out the front of this building, you know, there's some writers writing. Yeah. And I know there's some over at Losers right now and Winners and, you know, all these places. So, but a lot of writers write, you know, daily or certainly weekly, and they're writing maybe for themselves or writing for other people. They're writing to get songs cut. They're writing for songs to pitch. And you know, they write all the time. Lee Brice, man, that guy, you know, not only does he write amazing songs for himself, but he has a lot of people that cut his music. Garth Brooks cuts his music. I mean, people cut his music. Yeah. And he literally walks off stage, and by the time they're rolling down the highway, you know, an hour and a half after the concert, he's got a writer out he's got one bus. He's got a lot of tour buses, but one of them's a portable studio, and he's always got another writer with him on the road. Hour and a half walking off stage, he's writing. Oh, you know? Wow. I mean, the guy's writing all the time, and he's just top of his craft. Yeah. Myself, I typically write like, it's okay, we're going to put out we need to record a record. All right. We've got, you know, 8-9 months, we're going to record. It's time to put a record out. So I'll start the writing. Well, I'll start the writing process. Before that, continuously, 24/7, if I come up with an idea for a song, I'll put it in my notes or I'll speak into my little recorder on my phone, the idea, because it all starts with an idea.
Right.
But, and then when we get, we got about 3 months before we're going to go track the record, then I'll start a heavy writing schedule, and I'll go with Porter Howell, Doug Cahan, Mark Sutton, Jason Sutton, John McElroy. I'll go meet with these writers that want to write with me, and I'll start telling them, I'll get rid of some of my ideas. Oh, that wasn't that great an idea. That wasn't that great of an idea. And then, one of those ideas will hit that co-writer's hot button. I've had songs become fantastic that Porter said, let's write this. We're writing that. Let's write that. I'm excited to write that. And I may have pitched it to someone else a week ago in a writing session, and that's goofy. You just don't know. Different ideas hit different people.
Yeah.
And so we start writing. We're writing for my record. And, we'll get 1 or 2 written a week, and we'll spend, 3 months getting them written and prepared and arranged. You need different things, right? It starts with an idea, and then you need a melody, and you need a tempo and a beat, and then you got to, craft the lyrics, put it all together. And sometimes you write a song in a day, 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes you meet for the third time and you can't finish the song, and you're just like, man, this just wasn't meant to be. This is not coming together. So you never know. It always feels like to me the ones that come together fast are the best ones, because you're onto a hot idea and a hot topic, and everybody's excited about it, and it's going great. So anyway, to shorten this up, so I start writing 3-4 months, and then we go in the studio and we track everything. In other words, we record all the instruments for the songs, and then I live with the songs for about a month and sing along with them, and listen to them. I might listen to the tracks while I'm making dinner. I'm listening and humming along, and then I go in and kind of put a demo vocal on them, and then we decide which ones are worth finishing off. All right, let's go in for real and put a vocal on this and mix it and master it, and it makes the record. So not the same typical writing schedule I think that a lot of people keep, but I typically just, once we know 3 years have gone by, it's time to release another record. Okay, we're gonna record it this winter. So I'm spending the summer writing.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's that is a little different than some of the other ones that I've had, but I had Drew Ryder Smith on 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to him about I love hearing everybody's process, because everybody's is different. So it's interesting to me to hear the different ways people do this.
A lot of guys will get together. Most songs are written by 2 or 3 writers. You write with a co-writer, and sometimes 2 co-writers. And there's some guys around town that, they're so good. They'll just, 2 guys are getting, let's say they're going to meet and write. What do you want to write about? I don't know. Well, I'll tell you, let's meet down here, have a beer, shoot a game of pool, and see what we come up with.
Yeah.
When I go meet with a writer, I got to walk in with, a handful of ideas and, some melody choices, and, because they know that they're helping me write a song for my record.
Right.
So, they're not going to give me, Porter Howell's amazing. He's a lead singer, lead guitar player from Little Texas. God bless Texas. Amy's back in Austin. Kick a little, what might have been.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing writer, and he's a very good friend of mine. But he isn't going to give me his, hey, Andy, I got this great song idea and this great thing here. Come over and let me give it to you. He's got his own music projects. He's not going to, he needs me to walk in the door and say, here's a couple ideas. Here's a couple melodies. Here's what I'm hearing. I'm kind of feeling this. He'll help me write my idea, and he'll help me write my song, because it's for my record. But I better bring it to the table. He's not going to just hand me something.
Right.
He's got his own projects. His daughter's got a music project going. He's co-writing and producing. He's got all kinds of opportunities, that he does with his music. He's going to help me with my music. Then I better come with something.
Better come prepared.
Yeah, he'll help me polish it. He'll help me turn it into a better song than no doubt than it would have been if I would have, wouldn't have brought it and spent time with Porter. But I gotta bring the ingredients to the table.
I got you. So what would you say is your favorite song that you've written?
Song called I Wrote This One Myself.
Okay.
Which sounds just the opposite of what I just told you, that there's always a co-writer.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it's a crazy story, and I'll make it short. And it happens to be with Porter Howe, the same writer I was just telling you about.
Okay.
Me and him were writing a song, an idea that I had. And, we don't always agree. Some lines, that's goofy. No, man, it's great. No, I don't like it. No, you can't say that. What do you mean? And sometimes, not very often, especially with Porter, because we just got a good way of working together. But I'm about, ready to use some unpleasant words that I won't use on your podcast. I'm like, you know what, Porter? Fine. If you don't want to write this and you don't like it and you don't, we're not fine.
Yeah.
I'll write this one. I'll write it myself. And you know what I'm going to call it? I wrote this one myself. And he says to me, Andy, that's a great idea. Let's write that. And I said, write what? And he said, I wrote this one myself. And I said, no, if I write it myself, I got to write it myself. Can't have you write it with me and call it I wrote this one myself. He goes, no, your life wrote the song. Your life's what wrote the song. Like, this happened and these things happen. And hey, man, you got to own it. I wrote it myself. I did it. Right.
Yeah.
And we wrote a song called I Wrote This One Myself. And it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite songs I've ever written and put out.
I'm going to have to look that one up now, because now I really want to hear that. So
yeah. And we wrote it then we wrote it in like 2 hours. We were like on our second day beating our heads against the wall on this other thing. And I got frustrated and said that to him. He goes, yeah, let's write that. And we wrote it in like 2 hours, and I love the song.
So what would you say is probably one of your favorite fan interactions that you've had?
It is, without a doubt. I have a song out called Heaven Got a Hellraiser.
Uh-huh.
And this happens to me all the time. One in particular special time, and I'll use this as the example. It happens to me all the time. But this one really stands out. And I had a lady come up to me after the show and came over to the side of the stage there, and they asked me to go over and say hi to her. Her last name was Gibson, Mrs. Gibson. And she told me that her husband had passed away a few weeks ago, and she really wasn't going to come. But her daughter and her son, a few family members just said, Mom, you got to get out of the house. We were opening up for the Davison Brothers, and that was their favorite band back in West Virginia somewhere. And she teared up and was crying and telling me how that song, how much it meant to her, and how much it was speaking of her husband. And it just really hit her hard. And that happens a lot, with a lot of, bikers and bike rallies and stuff. People come up and say, that song really got to me.
Yeah.
It was like you wrote that for my father or my brother or my husband that passed away. And the next night, we played the same venue 2 nights in a row. And the next night, she must have brought 20 family members with her. And I don't know how early they got there, because they were like in the first or second or third. I mean, they were right there in front.
Yeah.
And that whole family just looked at me with tears in their eyes, and she was crying. And I remembered her name. Of course, I know her name now because she stayed in touch, but I remembered her name from the night before. I dedicated it to her husband, Dallas Gibson, and the Gibson family. And then I'd been signing some things before that, and I had a Sharpie with me, and I pulled it out of my pocket before I went on and threw it on the drum riser. And I finished the song, and I took the guitar off and signed the guitar and handed her the guitar, and then kneeled down, and she gave me a big hug. And that's about as touching of interaction as it gets.
Yeah.
To have an impact on a family like that and a person like that. And she still messages me, on social media, and she's probably been to 5 of my shows since then. I don't think I've ever played anywhere in her area where she wasn't there, and her family.
Wow. I like that. That's a heartwarming story. I mean, to be able to reach your fans like that and have that connection with them through your music. I know that probably it goes further than a lot of other things could, having a number one or anything like that, but being able to connect with your fans is probably one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah. And that song, it touches a lot of people. It's been played at funerals and events. And I don't remember the last time I played a show and didn't play that song.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, 8, there's 14 songs on the set list, and there's 8 of them that are going to be on every set list.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not going to not let me play Cold Dead Hand. I'm going to have to play Rebel. I'm going to have to play Country Girls Got Game. Going to have to play What We Do for Fun Around Here. Got to play Heaven Got a Hellraiser.
Do you play a lot of different like bike rallies and things like that?
We do play a good number of bike rallies. The year of COVID, when everything was shut down, the only people that kept anything going, I think I played like 4 bike rallies that summer of 2020. That was it. The Harley guys were like, "We ain't shutting down." So if you ain't shutting down, I'll be there.
Yeah,
I ain't scared. But yeah, I mean, and then we changed the set list too when we play bike rallies a little bit. Obviously, we still play Haven't Got a Hellraiser, but they like. I got a song called Outlaw Women and Whiskey that they like a lot. And so we throw in a couple of our songs that we know that have made it through the biker community, if you will. But love to play bike rallies. Bikers are very patriotic, unbelievably patriotic.
Yeah.
And never had a problem at a bike rally, never had an unpleasant experience. Great people.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got quite a few friends that actually ride bikes and stuff, and they go to all those. We have a big one that happens here because I'm in the Northwest Arkansas area. And so Fayetteville has the Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue that we have up this way. And the amount of people that come here for that it's insane. I mean, you pretty much, if you're not going to that, you don't want to go anywhere that weekend.
Yeah, they're big, and you got the bike rallies, and you got the sometimes you just have bike runs. I mean, some of these bike runs are so big, we're not playing a lot of big events during the week, so sometimes like there'll be a Tuesday night bike run at Shag Nasty's or something.
Yeah,
we think, well, heck, we're not playing. Let's go. If they want us to come play it, and there could be a couple thousand people there on a Tuesday night. I mean, it's some of those runs they do are a lot of fun.
So I've just got a few more questions to ask you before I get you off of here. Do you have any hobbies that you like to do?
Wow. Write music, play guitar. I feel like I'm living a couple of them. People ask me all the time, do you golf? And no, I don't golf. I pretty much work my business. I love spending time, when I can, as much time as I can with my kids and being involved in their sports and passions. One of my daughters was a cheerleader at KU, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. And so I don't play a lot in the winter. So, going to the KU basketball games and football games, and my kids' son's Friday night football games. And, but honestly, if you said, "Hey, man, you don't have to work today. You can do anything you want to do," I might do it by a campfire and have a grill going. But I'd be messing around on my guitar and working on a part, or just learning a cover song just to learn it. I was messing around the other night and thought, you know what? I love that song by Skynyrd, Simple Man. I mean, I've loved that song all my life. I've never played it.
Yeah.
Pull up YouTube, and even though I'm watching even though I might be watching TV, I tune on this, this college championship game or whatever. I mean, I'll have the TV at a medium volume and the guitar in my hand, put on to YouTube how to play Simple Man, and 15 minutes later I'm playing and singing Simple Man. So I guess I'm lucky, huh? I'm blessed that way to be able to do the things that I enjoy doing. Love camping, love cooking out, still love bow hunting, of course.
Yeah.
Love playing music.
So you said that about Simple Man. That's funny. That's one of the first songs that I actually learned to play on the guitar, and it was pre-YouTube. And the way that I learned it is there's a band called Shinedown that did a cover of.
They killed it.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. And I played that over and over. Yes, he's amazing. They're probably one of my favorite rock bands. But so I had that album, Leave a Whisper, great album. There's not a bad song on that album. I can just listen to it straight through over and over and over again. But Simple Man was on there, and I sat there and I would listen to it for hours until I figured out, okay, this is what they're playing. And that's how I learned how to play Simple Man, was just by listening to them play that over and over and over again.
Well, I hats off to you, my friend. It's a lot easier to pull it up on a YouTube video, and there's 20, 30, 40, 50 different videos on how to play Simple Man, and you find one of these guys that for whatever reason they teach it in a way that you can pick it up. I mean, some of the guys are trying to show it and do it and talk about it. I'm like, I don't even know what the heck I don't know, you ain't for me. But when you find one of these online guys that's got a YouTube channel and you like the way they put the notes up in the corner or he articulates it, or this Jeff guy that I go to kind of first to see if I want to play something, to see if he's got a lesson on it. He'll give you like 3 ways. Like Simple Man, he had like 3 ways. Like, here's just the chords, and then here's that, bum 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 bum, the kind of picking little thing through it. Now here's like an easy way to do it that really isn't complete, but 99% of the people that hear you play this song, they know it's Simple Man. They ain't gonna question it, right? And then here's more like they did it on the record. So sometimes I stop at the good enough, get close enough for rock and roll version. Yeah. So there was 2 songs that I learned from that, and it was that one and then 45, because it's probably still my favorite song by Shinedown. I'll never forget, I was in the dentist chair in Spring Hill, Tennessee, and they said, you want to put on some TV or something, or we can put on some music, and they just put it on I don't know, what kind of music do you like? And I said, Southern rock, classic rock. So they did the why can't I think of it? You put in a couple songs they like, and then it just plays all kinds of songs that it thinks you like. Mm-hmm. Can't remember the name of that. Pandora or something. Yeah, Pandora. Yeah. And all of a sudden, 30 minutes into my dental deal, my mouth wide open and Novocaine up. Here comes Simple Man, and they're playing like, okay, I love this song. So, and the guy started singing, and I'm like, well, hang on a second. Who the hell is this? Yeah. And I'm like, wow, who is this? I'm like, God bless Skinner, and I love them, and they're extremely, talented to the end of the earth and iconic. But this dude was killing it. I'm like, that is not Skinner. And I had to have the dinner. I'm like, can you look and see who this is? And his assistant came back and said, Shinedown. Yeah. I'm like, I'm a fan. Yes. Since that album, I've been a fan. So with your brand that you have and everything, is there a goal that you have that you want to reach by the end of this year? Well, the ultimate goal is as I was saying, is to become America's patriotic brand, to build as much product in the country as possible, employ as many people as possible, make quality products, and become a lifestyle brand. Obviously you're not going to get, all the way across that. That's a 5 to 10 year goal. Right. From where we sit today to, we're on our way. We're making a lot of noise, and when we go to the NRA show and the trade shows, we're packed, and everybody wants to be around what we're doing. It's catchy. The dealers call us the safe with an attitude, and we got a lot of grit about us and some good rock and roll to go with it. I do have some goals at the end of this year. We're a public company, and so I can't really forecast what we're doing ahead of putting it out in a public record.
Right.
But generically, I would like to add one more. We're always looking to add a new home run hit, product into our family of products, and to continue to expand the dealer base, and take the company to the next level. We're working on that. That's what we strive for, and we work every day, to build this company and build around it and build the brand and the quality of the brand and what it stands for. And I'd like personally, I'd like to see I Stand For You coming out on Flag Day, do really well. And I've got big hopes for that song.
All right.
I'll make sure they get it over to you before it comes out.
Awesome. That'd be great. So if people want to follow you, where can they do that?
So American Rebel is at AmericanRebel.com. Andy Ross and my music's at AndyRoss.com. All of my social medias are at Andy Ross Rebel. So whether you're on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, it's at Andy Ross Rebel. And that'd be the great, or Google. You can Google Andy Ross, Google American Rebel will come up.
All right. And is there anything that maybe you would like to say to your fans directly?
I'll say to my fans, but also just saying to God too. I mean, I've been extremely blessed.
Yeah.
I know that I've been extremely blessed. I've had my head down and working hard, and I'm doing my best to be the best, person that I can, human being that I can, kind and caring and giving, and try to live a life that I'm not just build a company or a song, but a life that I'm proud of. So, I'm thankful for my blessings. I'm thankful to have a fan, let alone fans. And thanks everyone for the support. I hope I'm doing something that you like, and I hope I'm making music that you like or a product that you like. And if you have the opportunity, say hi. I'll be out and about and running around this great country soon.
All right, man. Well, it has been great talking to you tonight, and I can't wait to see your new music that's coming out.
Man, I'm so happy to be here and have the platform and share my information and my story with your audience and your platform. It's an honor and a privilege to be on today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
All right. Well, you have a great night.
Thank you.
It took me 10 years to make the perfect man cave.
And then we took it over. And we made it into the multiversal chamber.
Then I started my own podcast.
And we took that over too. And we're the co-hosts, the Multiverse Kids.
Yeah, and I'm the dad, the geeky dad. And every week, we what?
We review the movies, shows, and books, games, and toys.
Yeah, and sometimes we even have a special guest. So, join us every week on the Geeky Dad Podcast.
Yabba dabba doo. This is Cat's Pajamas, aka Cat's PJs, and I'm the host of Cat's Pajamas radio show. Well, what is it that I got at the radio show, you may ask? I've got everything from live interviews with various people, from wrestling to bands and musicians and artists collectives. We talk all things conspiracies, scary stories, and fun random music facts. You can check me out on Spotify at Cat's Pajamas Radio Show. Got a really killer playlist for all of you as well. Or you can find me on Instagram, Cat's Pajamas 123. So I hope y'all go ahead and give that a listen. And a special thanks to If You Give a Dot a Podcast for putting me on. Much love. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed that episode with Andy Ross. He was a great guest, and he had a lot of cool stuff to talk about and really cool stories that I'm glad that he was able to come on and share with us today. And I do look forward to maybe having him back on in the future to talk about some more of the stories that he has that we weren't able to get into today. So, be looking for him to come back here soon. So, next week I have with me a guest that I've been talking about that was going to be on that I had to end up rescheduling, and I'm glad that he is come on and had a conversation with me, and it's a really good one. I really enjoyed talking to him, and that is Kurt Gannon. He is a wrestler out of the Missouri area, and he wrestles for Control Your Narrative, and I'm very excited for you guys to hear that episode. I think it's going to turn out really good, so be looking for that one next week. And if you want to follow me on social media to keep up with everything that's going on, you can do so by going to Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok or Twitter or Hive or any of those places, and just look up If You Give a Dad a Podcast, and you can find me there. On Facebook, it's at IYGADAP, and it's the same for Snapchat and for TikTok. You can also find me on Hive and Twitter, and those are both at DadPodcast11. And then on Instagram, I am at Give a Dad a Podcast. Follow me on all of those. That way you can make sure that you're keeping up to date with everything that is going on with iGetApp. If you want to send me an email, you can do so by sending it to giveadadapodcast@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you guys on there. Most of the time what I get is a lot of people saying, hey, I want to be on the show. So, and I've found some really good people to bring on the show from having that happen. And I look forward to hearing from all of my listeners as well. So if you have a comment or a question or a concern even that you want to bring up with me, or that maybe you would like me to talk about, or if there's a guest that maybe you'd like me to have on, send me a message and let me know. I love talking to you guys. In fact, I had somebody message me a few months ago asking about getting a certain wrestler on that they wanted, and I've since secured a date with that wrestler. I'm not going to bring it up because it's a little further out, and, things do come up, so it might not happen right at that time, but I am in talks with that person. So if you guys send me a name of somebody you would like me to have on, I will try my best to get them on for you guys to hear that episode. For everybody who's listening right now, I want you to go out and do me a favor. Go and rate and review this episode. Let me know what you think of it. Give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down, give it a rating and a comment, and tell me what you think of this episode. Tell me what you think of all the episodes that I've come out with. Let me know if I'm doing a job that you guys enjoy, or if it's something that you guys think maybe I suck at it. So either way, I love to hear from you guys. I love to get comments and feedback from you guys to let me know if what I'm bringing you is what you guys want to hear. I want to give a shout out to my podcast network, the OIW Podcast Network. You hear me talk about them every week. You know that they have all kinds of great content on there, and I'm very appreciative of them and thankful for them allowing me to be a part of their network. I also want to say thank you to D-Cure for creating my ending theme song for me. If you guys like his music, go out and follow him. I will have links to his website and stuff in my show notes. So make sure that you go out there and listen to his stuff. He's an awesome guy. He just came out with a new album this week, I believe. So I know I say that a lot, that he's got new music coming out. But seriously, this guy is producing music left and right, and they're amazing. He's been on the iTunes rap charts. He's done all kinds of things. His albums have charted on iTunes and different places. And also on the Billboard charts, he's been on there as well. And I am very excited and happy for him. And I'm thankful to have him as a friend who was able to make a theme song for me for this show. I am very excited for the things that are coming up in the next few months. I've got some really cool guests that are coming up. I've got some very diverse guests that are going to be coming up. And I have a few that are returning that I think you guys are really going to enjoy hearing as well. So, just stay tuned and keep listening. I love you guys. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye.
What else would you tomorrow rounded, but I got a podcast on. He calls us beautiful people, then tells us who we have on. The best part of my day, the world blocked out in my pods. Tell my friends all about it so that they follow along. And the host is kinda nerdy, but guess what, I am as well. I don't feel so alone, and I began walking out of my shell. Heard a story, I need a connection I haven't felt. I'll be looking for the next one, till then farewell. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. And listen closely. Download and tune in remotely. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. And listen closely. Download and tune in remotely.
This podcast is part of the OIW Podcasting Network.